to the porch. Welcome, welcome. This is my wreath, and this is my porch, and this is my hair, and I need one or two of them cut. And it took me a few weeks to get back on the PorchTalk beam, but I guess when you don't have much to say, or at least anything new to say, or conclusive to say, and unlike people who have really good editing skills and expensive or even free quality software to do video editing pre-upload to YouTube, I have to make this count in one take, and I'm just so damn lazy that I won't do more than one take. So what you see is what you get. Anyway, it's been an interesting beginning to the new year. There's lots going on in religion and politics to talk about. And so just for no particular reason, and with a sponsorship here that is unpaid, but I do it because I love it. This episode of Porch Talk brought to you by Clamato, the best thing to happen to clams or autos ever. Not since peanut butter and chocolate had an accidental bump together and Reese's peanut butter cups resulted. You got your peanut butter in my chocolate. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter. Ah! Yeah. Trying to put a calfskin glove on with one hand while the other one holds. While the other one holds your phone. Not easy to do. Of course, how will I operate the button if I don't? Okay, well, it's 2020, and my 2020 vision for the year is one full of righteous indignation at the buffoonery that is so evident in my church, in education, and in, of course, world politics. Clamato is good even without anything in it, other than, Clamato. Oh, yeah. Back in my younger days, I used to drink spicy Caesars, which was Clamato. Or if you didn't have Clamato, you'd just take clam juice. You'd buy a jar of clams or a can of clams, and you'd pour the clam juice into tomato juice. My secret was to use Contadina tomato juice and then mix it up with various things, celery salt and Tabasco. Now there's these mixes, and you have to really look around for a good one. Mr. and Mrs. something was always the one that was god-awful, no matter what it was, sweet and sour. Mr. Boston was also pretty terrible, but there was Mr. and Mrs. T, I think. God, it was bad, really bad. Anyway, I'm going to get my sizable gut. There we go. Good. All right, so it took me a while, 3 minutes just to say hello and get seated here. Yeah, I like Clamato all by itself. But I got righteously indignant at Mass today when the priest replaced the Nicene Creed with the Apostles' Creed. And not because I have a problem with that, because the Apostles' Creed is fine. We say the Apostles' Creed during the Rosary. But there is a little political shenanigan going on right now with the lack of inclusive language in the Nicene Creed, because Orthodox Catholics are supposedly offended by the language of the Nicene Creed, which of course occurs at a time when the schisms were not yet fully, schismed. Most people don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but you should look up the Great Schism, the split between the East and the West, between Constantinople and Rome. And it's just funny that at a time when the church is absolutely under fire from everyone who's not an Orthodox Catholic, it would be the last group in line to fire their salvos at my Roman Catholic Church would be any Orthodox church. Orthodox Catholics have much better things to do than to tilt at the windmill of Roman Catholicism. They really, really do. And yet, we get some Roman bishop who's going to exclude the Nicene Creed because it represents a division with the East. Like he even gives a rip. Abortion on demand, huge problem. Immigration reform, huge problem. We've got priests referring here in Southern California, referring to detention centers in Mexico as concentration camps. I'm about one more phone call away from pulling off a major coup. I've never had a Jewish prisoner of war, a Jewish concentration camp survivor as a guest in my class. I made 2 phone calls this week, and with one more, I think I might be able to close the deal. I'm teaching Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning to my my AP course in the coming weeks, and I hope to have a gentleman come in and speak to my students. He's affiliated with Chapman University here, and I really hope to have him come in, and even if not, just even speak to the gentleman. I've spoken before with Auschwitz and even a Bergen-Belsen survivor before, and pardon me, interruption time. This is what I mean about one take. Honey, I'm on my live feed right now, sweetheart. Do you mind?
Okay.
Of course she minds. That's why she interrupted me. But I love you anyway. Have fun. Make sure your sister does not go on the street. And no smoking.
I know.
And no vaping. And don't vote Democrat. There are some things equally as important as not vaping. Where she ate it into the fence. You okay?
Yes.
See, now that's what's important. Your kids smashing into a wooden fence with a bunch of rusty nails on it. That's important. Anyway, so today at Mass, the priest, ironically enough, the priest that officiated at my wife and I's wedding decides to go out of his way to say, we're going to say the Apostles' Creed today, not the Nicene Creed. He didn't say not the Nicene Creed. But I can count on one hand how many times in my life the Apostles' Creed has been said during Catholic Mass. This is the first time, so I don't even need one hand. All I need is one finger. You could cut off everything but one thumb on one of my hands and all of my toes, and I'd be able to count to the number of times that a priest has done that. So if he didn't do it for a specifically chosen liturgical reason that would be well known, or that he could easily explain, which I intend to when I send the email. Well, I actually wrote the email, I just haven't hit the send button. But when he responds to it, I hope he has an answer like, yeah, that's that thing that was just decided, that we would say the Nicene Creed, except in instances where we would say the Apostles' Creed as a matter of catechesis for students who are going through First Eucharist, or, whatever. There could be a perfectly good reason. This is me doubting it very much because I know the politics of this particular priest. As much as I like him, and I do, I know how this thing goes. So righteous indignation was how I felt. It's a really good feeling during Mass when you're thinking about how much God loves you. And at least I'm thinking about how much God loves me and how unworthy I am of that love, and how I'm focusing on the liturgy and how important that ritual is, because it is. Some say it's not, but it's absolutely important. I think of all the things that aren't happening that should be, like the liturgy is supposed to be in the vernacular of wherever you are, right? Which I get that, except for the consecration, which is supposed to be in Latin. But they defy that because that's what they do. That's what American bishops do. Lacking actual theology, they stand on defiance for its own sake. This is the equivalent of the little boy who decides to, hold his breath until he turns blue because mommy told him to breathe. I don't get it. There's no real just do it in Latin, and put the translation up there on the wall so we can all see. Hoc est enim corpus meum, for this is my body. But with all the other things for the church to worry about, and with all these issues, worrying about the Eastern Orthodox churches, my Orthodox friends out there, I'm an inch away from joining you, by the way. I'll bring the clamato. I'll tell you what, I'll bring the clam, you bring the atto. We'll be good. Anyway, that's my religion rant for the day. And it's not even much of a rant. That was about 3 hours ago. My wife even asked me, she goes, are you okay? Do you want to leave Mass? I go, I'm not leaving Mass. This guy pisses me off in Mass, but you know what? It's my Mass. It doesn't belong to him. He works for me. He works for me. I don't see priests as something. That's why I was around priests my whole life. And I was never, thank the good Lord, a victim of abuse. I was, however, a victim of a different kind of abuse, liturgical, theological abuse. I had priests tell me that they didn't believe that Jesus necessarily, really, absolutely died and came back from the dead. They merely said it's only important that the apostles believed that he did. Can you believe that shit? I actually have had to sit there and hear that. I survived that kind of abuse. One can steal your soul. The other one can destroy your mind for a while. But if you're strong and you come back from it, you get help. And pray God that everyone who's ever been abused by a priest gets that help. And the hell with every one of those priests, and may the millstone that'll likely go around their neck that carries them downwards be alleviated by a forgiving God, only for their sake, not because I'm the one, because I'm pretty much Mr. Vengeance. Trust me when I tell you this. So I am completely sympathetic to every victim of it. But I was a victim of a liberal church in the 70s that tried every day to kill my faith in Jesus Christ and the Roman Catholic Church. Every day these people tried. Every damn day. These liberal priests in Southern California tried to undermine my faith, and they couldn't succeed because my mother and father were strong Catholics. My father, who's in heaven now, and my mother, who, thank God, is still with us and spends 2 days a week with my children, continues to perpetuate the truth of our faith, and I'm grateful for that. My mother and my great-grandmother are two huge reasons I'm still Catholic. Only a couple of priests were really key for me. It was mostly lay people who gave me my faith in a way that made me go, oh yeah, that's what my mom and dad say. That's what my grandmother says. That's what my great-grandfather, who was a convert, said. I saw in these people, in the way they lived their lives, the way I wanted to live mine. So anyway, that's my religious rant. That took, 12 minutes? No, the first 3 minutes were nothing. But anyway, as my opening music is Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath, and that's really for you, Mike Clancy, who you know I love you so much, and I had to throw that in there. Those who walk in gilded halls, you know. The only political rant I have is that I sent out a tweet today telling Mr. Trump that I voted for him in 2016. I'm going to vote for him again this year. And I don't like a lot of the things he says and tweets, but I like what he does. And I guess that's my test. How many people will tell me how terrible I am? And the truth is, nobody's really listening to me or reading my tweets or even watching this feed, so what do I care? Just speak my mind. I'm not a flag burning or a cross burning or a soul burning person. I'm just not that interesting. I teach my novels and my poems to my students. And I'm, the only thing that really matters is that I'm devoted to my wife and to my children, and that I do all of that for the greater glory of God. Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam. That's really all that matters. All this other stuff we get all twisted up about and pissed off at, I don't know how much it really matters anyway. But it's all for the sake of heaven and hell. And I hope I serve one day in heaven, because I don't want to rule in hell. Milton was a suck-ass Puritan, but he sure could write a good poem. And so I send you off with that in the words of the great poet John Milton. I choose to serve in heaven because I don't want to reign in hell. Flip that sucker around. God bless you, Dr. Kuhn. Thanks for teaching me all the good stuff. And to all my friends, come on back to the porch next time. I hope I have something worthwhile to say. Bye-bye.